My baby! My baby!" she yelled. "Where did you take her? Brutes!" Her sequestered daughter, who had made the long journey with her from Honduras, was not even 2 years old. Still, no one came. In the last days of June 2018, in what was turning out to be an unusually hot summer, thousands of Americans stepped outside to attend one of the more than 700 demonstrations that erupted throughout the country to protest the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy that was separating children from their parents while in detention. The marches took place in both liberal cities like Los Angeles and New York, and conservative strongholds like Appalachia and Wyoming. Zero tolerance was one of Trump's most unpopular policies. Only 1/4 of Americans supported it. Even a politically divided country, it seemed, could agree that Trump's family separation policy had gone too far. But though hundreds of reporters descended outside the gates of the nation's detention centers, their cameras failed to capture what lay just beyond their frame. They didn't reveal that family separation constituted only one aspect of a much broader and more insidious issue, one that has been an affront to America's most fundamental democratic principles for more than a century. Individuals detained without trial, caged without explanation and without having been accused of committing any crimes, denied basic constitutional rights, unaware of when they will be released or if they will be released at all, subjected to beatings and other torture. Americans have long pinned these abuses to far-off regimes and distant times: Nazi Germany, Pinochet's Chile, the Soviet Union. They do not happen here. If our leadership perpetrates these acts, we have believed, it does so for profoundly specific reasons, and in marginal spaces outside the country, in legal black sites like Guantanamo Bay, a so-called island outside the law where terrorist suspects have been detained with limited access to rights. In reality, however, Guantanamo-like facilities have arisen in towns and cities across America since the 19th century. Every day, in the heart of the self-described greatest democracy on earth, people are incarcerated without charges for indefinite periods of time, under horrific conditions, and without basic constitutional protections. This is the hidden world of immigrant detention centers. To understand how America came to be crisscrossed by a vast network of facilities where people are detained without basic rights, we have to look back almost 150 years to when Congress passed legislation that spawned what is now known as the entry fiction. According to this doctrine, migrants stopped at the border are legally considered to be outside the country. When these entrants are detained in the United States, while the government decides their fate, they are treated as if they are not here. This is the case whether the detention centers are near the border or deep within the country. The detention centers exist on the U.S. map, but the entrants within them are presumed to be held outside the nation. Since they are not here, detainees are not guaranteed basic constitutional protections, even when subjected to the laws and forces of the state. This fiction continues to dictate conditions for asylum seekers and migrants stopped at the border to this day. Not all migrants caged in detention centers have been classified as entrants lacking rights. Unauthorized migrants who evade apprehension at the border and are only later detained, for example, those caught living without papers in Los Angeles, hold a different legal status. They are considered to have entered the nation, and as such are accorded constitutional rights. Even these migrants, however, are caged in spaces originally